somehow have managed to eke out a living doing this for 30 years. And a lot of that was luck and timing. And I'd be the first to not only admit it, but welcome it and cherish it and say, you know, for example, when I started getting in the voiceover business, not even knowing what the voiceover business was, I had been a jock, and I knew there were these people that did that, but I wasn't quite sure who they were, that I came into it at a time when the deep, rich, stentorian voices with the hand over the ear, which I can kind of do now, and I couldn't do then, were starting to disappear, and they wanted someone who sounded unremarkable. I was once described that way. He's remarkably unremarkable. Oh no, that's a good thing for long-term success. So I was very lucky. The other thing is that as I did it, and part of that is pure desperation, I realized that I had to be unique in some way. And the uniqueness might be my approach to copy, but my uniqueness also might be that I was going to treat this like a business. I was a terrible computer salesman. I mean awful. I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records as the worst computer salesman in history. But you know what? They sent me to school. They sent me to sales school. And I learned a hell of a lot. I also learned a lot about computers, and so when I finally quit my job and decided to do this and was bemoaning the fact I had wasted, you know, many years and countless hours learning something I would never use, my mother, who looks like and sounds like Aunt Bee, said, "Well, Harlan, you never know when it might come in handy." This is when you want to slap them even if they're in their 80s. When I started, and I went to my first agent and took my little demo reel, even predating cassettes, they said, "Well, what else do you know how to do?" Whatever. And I said, "You know, I've got my headshots and everything." And I got a phone call, and they said, "Harlan, we have an on-camera audition for you." So I went, and the young woman's wear a suit. You know, it's for a company called Arthur Anderson, and they do a lot of shooting. This was the early days of video, and they did tons and tons and tons of videos because it was much cheaper than flying people all around the country to be trained. And she said, "Oh, by the way, do you know anything about computers?" I just hate it when my mother's right. Now, I did. I mean, this was the days before personal computers. This was sys1.jobq and tree-like hierarchies. All this crap that I'd heard, I actually knew. And so I got booked a lot. And I had directors say to me, "You know, you're the only actor who comes here who sounds like he knows what he's talking about." No duh. The other thing I learned from the failure, where you'll learn the most, is to try to make a business. Performance is one of the elements. Promotion, and again, I think it's true whether you've got a job at the moment or not, promotion is so important. Business management, managing your business. This is one of the things that most actors just simply do not want to do. And in the new paradigm, creating job opportunities. A business model statement came out of one of my workshops is a voiceover actor operates a business that supplies voice and voice-related services and products. When I was starting out, a wonderful announcer named Jim Lewis gave me a ride home. I was playing the eager young salesman on an Abbott Lab narration. Now I play the elderly doctor on the Abbott narration. He was playing the doctor, and I was the eager, detailer. "Doctor, have you tried this?" So he gave me a ride back, and we're just driving in the car, and he said, "So, why would they hire you instead of Holtz?" Holtz referred to a guy my age who had been in the business quite a while longer than me, and was very good, Bob Holtz. That's one of those good questions, isn't it? Why? And I struggled to find an answer, and I still sometimes struggle to find an answer, but the answer comes in, this is from the corporate world, something called a USP, unique selling point, or sometimes unique selling proposition. Too often that is confused with a catchy gimmick, a catchy phrase I maintain in this voiceover paradigm when we have to do lots of stuff. Then you'll have many unique selling propositions. But don't get hung up on it being catchy and cute. That may come later. It's saying, what do I have that's unique to offer to this market? But not just this. Not just, I can do an older guy, I can do a young kid. A lot of people can do that. What else can you bring to the table? And part of that may be better promotion, better marketing, better customer care, taking care of your customers, following through, looking for business, keeping the business you have. May be very unique as well. Developing and finding unique selling propositions is not easy, but it's worth working on. But again, I caution you not to get too hung up on, well, I've got to find a catchy line that may or may not come. And the one-size-fits-all thing of your voice choice doesn't say anything to me. What do you mean? Okay? So finding that unique selling proposition and then treating the business as a business will get you farther because you've already looked at your competition and said, what can I do? In the case of my story about Mr. Lewis asking me about why should they hire you instead of Bob Holtz, since I was young and coming in, my very first promotion was Harlan Hogan, the voice of the baby boom. What we are finding now, what I am finding now after this many years of doing this sort of thing, is the paradigm, the business has changed. Now the business is always changing, and now it's expanded and done some different things, but in the last 10 years, the changes in the voiceover world have been explosive. Many people, many peers of mine, have left it, or kind of left it on the back burner and said, well, it's over. It's over, it's over, oh, it's terrible, it's over. Celebrities, that hurt. The proliferation of training facilities, of demo producers, of sites, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, on the internet, that basically say, anyone can do it, y'all come. It goes back to my definition. If your definition is that you talk in a tube and somebody hands you $500, I can't argue with them. That's a hell of a good job. But that's 2% of your time. You've got to get the job in the first place. And that's always been true, but in this new voiceover model, you really have to be hustling and finding work and creating work and maintaining work and keeping the clients.